After Constance Wu disliked Fresh Off the Boat's renewal on Twitter a few years ago, she is now back to say the real reason she was too scared to be back on the show. And it's absolutely devastating. Crazy Rich Asians star Constance Wu has become a big name since she featured in the Asian American series Fresh Off the Boat, as she was one of the show's breakout stars. Her success didn't stop there, as she went ahead to feature in Crazy Rich Asians, which put her much more into the spotlight. And since then, Asian representation in Hollywood has improved greatly to the joy of the fans and the actors involved. So it came as a shock to people in 2019 when the series FOTB that the actress was working on got renewed, and her reaction was not what they had been expecting. Constance got the news that FOTB would be getting a renewal for a 6th season on Twitter, and she tweeted how pissed she was to be seeing such news. And it was strange because actors always look forward to a renewal of their shows. A fan congratulated her saying great news, to which she made her unhappy emotions obvious by replying, "No, it's not." Constance's public displeasure on FOTB being renewed didn't stop at Twitter. The actress proceeded to Instagram and commented under the series post saying dislike. The same day after she tweeted her dislike for FOTB's renewal, Constance tried explaining to her fans the choice of her words while she was pissed. She said, "That was not a rampage, it was just how I normally talk. I say F word a lot. I love the word. You are all making a lot of assumptions about what I was saying, and no, it's not what it's about. No, it's not what this is all about. Stop assuming." Then the actress deleted some of her previous tweets and said that her outburst was due to a bad day she was experiencing, and she was glad and grateful that FOTB was getting renewed and that she enjoyed being a part of it. The reactions to her tweets didn't stop immediately. Fans kept discussing it, and many of her co-stars were calling her out on it, so Constance made another tweet. This time, Constance explained, saying she was angry because she had thought she would get the time to pursue other projects that would take her career higher, and that FOTB renewal would delay that. The actress also made it known how insensitive her earlier tweets were, especially to an Asian still struggling to get roles in Hollywood. Constance knew this because she used to be in that situation too, but behind all this drama and tweets from Constance was a bigger issue she wasn't telling the fans. After 3 years of being cancelled and labelled ungrateful, Constance wrote a memoir, Making a Scene, with which she told her side of the story and what went down while working on the set of FOTB. In a talk with Variety, Constance shared some of the things she experienced when she said, "What people didn't realise was that during my first couple of years on Fresh Off the Boat, I was sexually harassed, and I was intimidated, and I was threatened all the time." The actress also touched on why she couldn't come forward to reveal how she was treated at the time. She said that the producer of the show and many of the cast and crew were Asian Americans, so it was a time Asian representation was getting popular in Hollywood, and that it was going to be a bad move if she had talked. Because she cared about the work the show's producer had put in, she didn't want to ruin the efforts with claims of such serious matters. So Constance became silent on her sufferings, just so that the show and many other Asian shows in the future wouldn't get stained. But after the heavy backlash she got, Constance felt her silence was no longer rewarding, and she exposed the producer who hurt her in her memoir, which was released on the 4th of October 2022. In the exposure, Constance only used the initials of the producer and mentioned how he had made her attend a Lakers game with him in LA. A few minutes into the game, the producer touched her thigh and brushed her crotch, and when Constance told him to stop, he became cold and angry. She said this continued on the set of FOTB for the first 2 seasons, and she had to be silent to keep her job and not taint the show's progress. The actress said, "Because after the first 2 seasons, once it was a success, once I was no longer scared of losing my job, that's when I was able to start saying no to the harassment, no to the intimidation from this particular producer." It's sad that Constance's trouble only started with the harassment, and when she started throwing hints as to why she could no longer continue on FOTB, the world cancelled her, which almost made her lose her life. The 2019 tweets that started the hatred towards her when Constance decided to start speaking out and making her feelings known. She said in the past she had been too considerate in trying to preserve everything for others, and always on the lookout for them without considering how much it was affecting her and her mental health. She wrote in her memoir saying, "I didn't think about the lack of context, didn't care about how bad it looked. I didn't care how I sounded, I just needed to make a sound finally. I unleashed all my built-up feelings on social media." Then after she made her feelings known on social media, many people made made her an example of ridicule. She said it was unusual for fans to see someone who's always kept their cool making an outburst. So instead of looking deeply into why she suddenly burst out, she became the object of insults, bad headlines, and sad memes. And she was tagged as an ungrateful girl who was only trying to make a scene to push her career forward. Amid these expressions of hate being thrown at her, Constance decided to take a social media break to heal, but she was never left off the hook. Shockingly, her email was still getting so many messages, and she recalled one that stood out most, that was one from her co-star who thrashed her. Constance mentioned what the email message from her co-actress contained, saying, "She told me that nothing I could ever do would make up for my atrocious behavior and gross ingratitude. How I had sullied the one shining beacon of hope for Asian Americans. How selfish I was not to consider everyone else's jobs on the show." But this actress didn't stop at talking down Constance. She went on to say that Constance should bake cookies and crawl at the feet of her co-star Randall Park and do the same for every crew member on the show. And she added that even if Constance did all of that and more, nothing would ever be able to make up for how she had publicly disgraced the FOTB series. Constance also said the actress talked about how the show was her nephew's favourite and that Constance ruined that experience for him. So there's no way ever that her actions could be forgivable. Those words of disgust that the actress had told Constance sent her on edge and got her very depressed. And because no one cared to know why she had spoken out, Constance decided she needed to hurt herself so badly for the world to see how pained and heartbroken she was. That night, she thought of ending it all and proceeded to her balcony and held onto the railing of her 5th floor apartment. At that moment, Constance said her body didn't feel like a body again, and she was only saved from going through that decision after a friend found her just in time and took her out of the house to a psychiatric ER of a mental hospital. Constance wrote that she was like a ghost of herself while in the hospital, and that was when she talked to the 2 counselors who attended to her and revealed to them she needed help. The actress finally got the help she needed and returned to the set of FOTB to continue filming season 6. Constance apologized to the show cast and crew members for how her outbursts had put them all in a position where they all felt attacked, and they all accepted her apology and supported her. Despite all the harassment Constance faced on the show before her Twitter backlash, she said it was the support of her co-lead Park that gave her the strength to get back on the show. She mentioned how getting help and considering herself is now freeing, and because she's no longer afraid to lose anything after she's got cancelled, she's now free and can speak up now. Constance later wrote on how FOTB helped her but also changed her when she said, "Fresh off the boat changed my life, but not in the way that you might expect. Sure, it got me out of debt and launched my career, but what changed my life for the better was the hard stuff." The actress said her silence on the harassment and finally speaking out made her realize how much hurt she was holding on to, and that pushed Constance into a standard everyday therapy for a while with someone experienced with actresses and musicians who have encountered such in the past. The actress explained why she wrote her memoir when she said, "I write about a lot of different things, and somebody just asking, 'How are you?' or 'Are you okay?' is important. I think a big theme is how hard healing is." So now that Constance looks back at her awful experience on the set of Fresh Off the Boat, she sees it more as a helpful mechanism rather than a setback. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for watching.